Hi everyone, my name is Spirit Dreamer and welcome back to another one of my videos. Please subscribe and hit a like as well. Thank you. Let's get right into this video. This is part 3, I think. Part 2, part 3 of the test of death. Let's get right into it. The creature looked at Twilight. Twilight's ears was back as far as they could go, and she was staring right at the rod that was in her face. And it was so close that she could smell the heat that was coming off of it. However, he put the rod down. Then his eyes lit up a bright red glow again, and something else over in the corner was grabbed. It was a knife, a sharp one, very sharp. He grabbed it. So he grabbed the knife. He brought the knife over to him with his powers and then grabbed it. He used his powers to hold the iron up in the air. He held the knife at her face, but then lowered it and set it on her chest gently. He didn't put a pressure on it as not to hurt her, at least not yet. Everyone in the room was silent when Slasher spoke. I assure you, you have no power here, and I can do anything I like. And I have some pretty good ideas that are more than likely going to be very fun for me, he said. Then he dragged the knife down Twilight's chest and down to her belly, and it stopped above her pelvis. It stopped above her pelvis. Then he angled the knife in a way to make a cut across above her pelvis. A cut that would surely allow her intestines to fall out. However, he made a very light slash that hardly drew any blood, and instead just left a small red mark, almost like a cat scratch. Then he brought the hot iron back into his robotic paw, hand paw. And then he then put the iron where he made the mark, and it made contact. As soon as it made contact, Twilight screamed, and the sound of burning flesh the smell of burning flesh and the sound of Twilight's agonizing screams filled the room. Once he was done, he used his powers to hold the iron again. Then he brought it back over to the hot box and put it back inside and put the lid on top. Then he grabbed something else. It was a large syringe. He also grabbed a bowl that had some kind of liquid in it. He held both with his powers. He jabbed the needle into Twilight's chest. Once he was done, he put the needle back on the table. "What did you do?" She said as she became super energetic. Slasher looked at her and smiled. "I gave you an adrenaline shot to keep you awake for what I'm about to do." He grabbed something else off of the table in the corner of the room. There were 6 rags. He used his powers to tie each one around each pony's mouth. Then he said, "I can't have any of you speaking and interrupting me in a very important part of my work." He grabbed the knife and put it on Twilight's burnt cut. He then pushed the knife in deep and dragged it across her pelvis. It made a line across her pelvis, and when he pulled the knife out slowly, her intestines began to start to fall out, but they didn't yet. Then he used his powers to grab a huge bucket that looked like it was meant for apple popping and brought it over. He then cut upwards from the cut he had already made up her stomach and stopped just before her chest. Then he again used his powers to pull back the flaps of skin and held them there. How he was able to hold so many objects without losing focus, they found a little bit new and different, interesting in some way, but they didn't really have time to think about it, seeing what was going on. He began to take out some of Twilight's organs and stuff. The only thing he left were her lungs, heart, stomach, the only thing he left was her heart and lungs. He took everything else out and put it in the bucket, then used his powers to put the bucket back over by the table. Then he grabbed the needle again, but this time it was filled with something else. Something that was yellow instead of orange. He also grabbed a needle. He used the needle to sew Twilight up, and he did it rather fast, but it came out pretty perfect. Once he was done, he tied a good knot in it, and he used his powers for the whole process of it. Then he used his powers to lift the liquid out of the bowl and put it on Twilight's wounds, and it seeped in. Twilight screamed even more, but she had a hard time doing so. She was coughing up so much blood and was on the verge of passing out. He then gave her another shot in her chest. Then she fell asleep, but she was breathing just fine. Then he put everything he had back on the table. The knife, the bowl, the syringe, everything. Then his eyes stopped glowing and went back to normal. He never took the gags off though. However, he then turned to a rarity. So I am going to end the video right here because my phone is again acting weird. So see you later. Hope you subscribed and added a like. Thank you and goodbye.